Welcome to another episode of Alpha Fire brought to you by Rule From Within. Visit rulefromwithin.com for expert life coaching and mentorship. Explore the possibilities. Strategy. Everybody wants to know how to get to where they want to go. A strategy is going to help you get there. Now, when it comes to strategy, many people have heard of this term, but it's very ambiguous, it's very vague. What exactly is strategy? What does it mean? How do you go about building the bridge to go from where you are to where you want to end up? The first thing you need to know about strategy is that not having a life strategy can hurt you. Now, you probably already have a strategy for how you perform your work tasks, what your boss expects you to do, or what you're doing in your business, or what you do when you interact with your husband, your girlfriend, your significant other, your children. You have a strategy. Whether you have made it explicit and you have a clear understanding of how your strategy unfolds, or it's subconscious and you have no idea how it works, or whether or not it even works. Not having a life strategy can hurt you. So when you think of developing a strategy for life, it may seem daunting, leading you to cast the idea aside. Well, it's too difficult, it's too complicated, I don't need to do it. This decision can be a huge mistake that haunts you down the road, and it always does. When you don't have a life strategy, you risk damaging your daily ability to achieve success. Success isn't an accident. Success is a decision. Look at all the successful people you know. Did they achieve success by accident? Probably not. They likely had a strategy and applied it to their life until they reached success. You need to do the same if you want to end up where they are. Take Jeff Bezos, for instance. When he created Amazon, it was just an online bookstore. His strategy was to carry whatever would sell. Well, the strategy led him to expand his inventory to eventually becoming the largest internet marketplace in the world. Basically, a world within a world, a virtual reality of shopping. And this wasn't by accident. This success would have never happened had he not had a strategy for his life and business. A life strategy gives you directions. Without a life strategy, you will probably, like most people, be wandering around directionless. In all likelihood, you will have spread yourself too thin and will have no idea what to prioritize in your life without a strategy. When you develop a life strategy, this will give you an idea of the direction you need to head and can help you make decisions along the way to keep you on that path. So think of your life strategy as the guardrails that pop up when you go bowling, the guardrails on either side. They're going to keep the ball from moving into the gutter. Your strategy is what literally prevents you from your mind being drifted into the gutter so that your mind is not in the gutter. You're thinking higher thoughts, which is producing higher frequency emotions, which is causing higher levels of action and execution. Now, if you have decision paralysis, that's because you don't have a life strategy. And decision paralysis, or paralysis by analysis, is when you're not sure what you should do next. And we live in a time and a place where in the West, you're being bombarded with 20,000, 30,000 forms of commercial advertisements and distractions. See, it's far easier for those in power to prevent you from reaching your goals if they simply just distract you and specifically tap into things that all humans like. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, or sex, drugs, music. So when you're checking your social media, feed pops up, one of those things are going to be there, or food, right? Anything to get you to look the other way. Now, this brings me to the next point. Having a life strategy helps you when it comes to making important decisions. as well as making everyday small decisions. When you don't have a strategy for your life, you may find yourself faced with a decision and you can't choose an answer. This issue will lead to stress, anxiety, and ultimately, you're going to end up picking the wrong choice for your situation. So think about the decisions you've made already. Have you been operating from a mindset, meaning your mind is set on, or you've set your mind on making these survival tactic decisions that end up causing you to make poor decisions long term, but in the short term, they seem like they're the best? So if you think back a year ago, is your life where you expected it to be? 5 years ago, if you think back to then, are you where you had planned you would be? The issue can lead to stress. The issue can lead to anxiety. And when you're operating in a scarcity survival mindset, it's impossible to make clear, confident decisions where you can communicate it effectively to yourself or to others. Now, it may not seem like disregarding a life strategy can hurt you, but it most certainly can. Without a strategy for your life, you will quickly find you have difficulty achieving success, no direction, and experience paralysis when faced with making decisions. So, if you're like most people, it's difficult to make decisions. You don't even have a process in place. If you ask the majority of the population, how do you make a decision? And there have been studies done on this. They'll tell you they don't really know. They'll say, I trust my gut. And trusting your gut and your intuition is a very powerful tool if you've been taught to think logically. See, your brain wants to go through that process first. Your heart is telling you what your passion is. Your brain is the judge to check and make sure that the method you're choosing to achieve or get that passion is the correct one for you based on where you are now and where you want to be. The only way to remedy these issues is by taking the time to sit down and develop a strategy to guide your life. And 1 minute of planning saves 10 minutes of time. So there are a lot of people who will say, absolutely not. I'm not going to sit down and come up with my life strategy. I don't have time for it. But then ask to see their phone and look and see how much time did they spend on Facebook. What is it? In the West, the average person spends 2 hours a day. So you have plenty of time to come up with a life strategy. Now, coming up with a life strategy, it most likely won't take you even close to 2 hours. It might take you 10 minutes. So think about that. We have all this time to view other people's amazing quote unquote lives, but no time to develop the strategy for your life. So why is it important to have a life strategy? What's the big deal about having a life strategy? Well, you've probably been told that you need to have a strategy for your life at some point. And the statement can seem excessive when you may not be 100% sure about where you want to go. But whether you like it or not, it is extremely important to have a life strategy. Look, when you're 20 years old, you may not know where you want to go for college, what you want to study, or what kind of business do you want to start. You may not know in your 30s and 40s what is your purpose in life. And that's all right. What you do know is what you want out of life now. So when you're developing your life strategy, it doesn't always have to be at the end of my life when I'm 80 years old. These are all the things people are going to say that I did. You may not mentally be in the space to come up with those answers, but you do have answers of what you want to have happen in the next day, week, month, and year. Or how about this? You may not have the answer for yourself, but you might very well 100% have the answer for the strategy and the goals and your purpose for your children or your husband or your wife or your niece or your nephew or your charity. So, having a life strategy can help you make those difficult decisions. Sometimes, when you're faced with a decision, you can freeze up because you aren't sure what option to pick. This changes when you have an overall strategy for life because even if you aren't sure which of the two options to pick, you will know which of the two options better aligns with your overall strategy. This can help you make the right decision. You can also have a strategy for decisions worked into your overall life strategy, which can be important when you're faced with decisions on a frequent basis, like in today's world, the 21st century. You have to make decisions all the time. And some can say, well, I don't have to make a decision. That is a decision in and of itself. If you choose not to decide to do something, that is your decision. And what that basically means is that you are betting that not doing anything is going to pay off in helping you reach your long term goals. Now, if you're like most people, when you hear that, you realize I have to do something because if I don't do anything at all, there's no way I'm going to reach my long term goals. So when you frame it that way, that making a decision or choosing not to do anything is really a bet because you don't have all the information that you might need. There's too much information out there. You don't need all of it. You need enough to make a good decision that aligns with your life strategy. Now, if you have goals, a strategy can clearly help you achieve them. This is great news because goals are already a bit like a strategy. When you formulate a strategy, you will know how to best progress toward your goals. And having a strategy on how to reach your goals makes it much more likelier that you'll reach them. It increases the probability, it tilts the likelihood of you reaching your goals in your favor. You see, every day, you either are doing things that are supporting your health and decreasing disease, or increasing disease and decreasing your health. Every day, you're making decisions among the choices available to you that are improving your financial situation and decreasing the chances of you being poor, or increasing the chances of you being poor and decreasing the chances of you being rich. Having a strategy can help you focus your energy more efficiently. Typically, people have more than one goal, and with a strategy, you will balance multiple goals without struggling as much. See, when you're struggling that much, you're creating unnecessary expenditure of energy. You only have so much in a day. And depending on your overall health, depending on your age, depending on your nutrition, that amount of energy can vary. Some people have 100%, others are just operating at 70, and that's equivalent to their 100%. So you wake up in the morning and you have this finite amount of energy, and you have to decide where the energy is going to go. That's why the most successful people have a very good morning routine that includes exercise. Most of the energy is going toward improving their health, sustaining their body and the system of their body, and maximizing it so that the next day they, instead of operating at 80%, now they're at 82. They have 2% more energy to work with. So when you're thinking about what you do and where you're prioritizing and what you're giving energy to, don't think for a second that when you are on social media or television or you're drama and trauma bonding with other people, don't think for a second that they aren't taking energy from you.